Do you think he's the greatest of this generation?
This generation
over Kobe?
Man, it's. No, I'm not a Kobe fan either. That's the thing.
What is going on?
I'm just not, man. I'm not. I'm not. I wasn't a Kobe.
You gotta. I'm about to get a blood test.
I'm not saying
I gotta do. What is going on?
For sure.
My cousin Sean, the Quick Mac. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, cuz? Man, I'm all right. Just living.
Love. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to really get you on here just to really, have you talk about your experience going through the whole MMA process and what got you started into it. And I guess me and E will just kind of ask you some questions, and then we may roll over into some other sports stuff. I know you still kind of well knowledge about some sports as well, but we really want to kind of just pick your brain about the whole MMA thing. You can even talk about the where the sport is at right now, and some matches you want to talk about. But I guess just what got you started into MMA?
Well, actually, what got it started, my son, DeAndre, he was doing boxing and Taekwondo, and he mentioned something about MMA. So me and Nikki, we were just talking about, like, yeah, we got to do something. We're getting older, to get back in shape. He was like, what about doing MMA? And we was going to the Y all the time. I'm playing basketball. She's working out. We seen classes, and I was like, you want to do that once a week? And then she was like, no, if we're going to do it, let's find a actual place, not the YMCA. So we found GRMMA. We went in, and that's how it was, man. It just wanted to get in shape. I never planned on fighting or anything. I just wanted to get back in shape.
So how old were you when you first had like your first professional bout?
Professional bout, I was 34.
Damn, you're a bold man, bro.
My first amateur, I was 32 because I started at 31, man. I just wanted to get back in shape, and like I said, I had that boxing background, and I could always strike. So that fight was in there, and then they knew they noticed I could strike, and they were the coaches were trying to kept trying to ask me, do I want to fight, and I'm like, I might do it one day. This is only like a month or two in,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll probably do it once just to say I did it, because I'm like, I'm 32 years old, I'm not trying to fight no more, But They kept on, and then I came in one day, and somebody came up to me and was like, man, you fighting? I'm like, yeah, probably soon one day. And then somebody else came up to me, like, man, you fighting at Vincent's? I'm like, next week. They're like, yeah, your name's on the board. I'm like, what? So I went, and the coaches, I looked at the board, and he was like, you ready? I'm like, you think I'm ready? He's like, yeah, you ready? He was like, the guy trains out of his garage or something. He was like, you'll be fine. I was like, if you guys say I'm ready, I'll do it for the gym. And
was that nerve-wracking, your first fight? Was that pretty nerve-wracking?
Not really. I played sports my whole life, and I'm just like, I've been in 20 fights, so.
All right. Yeah.
It's four boys and one girl on my side.
Right.
So being in, sports and then, boxing in the cage, in the ring before, it was kind of like, it's no big deal. But the thing is, my guy never showed up, and I ended up fighting a guy that his guy didn't want to fight, and we were the same weight. He was like 2-0 wrestler. So I ended up fighting a guy that had some experience, and I was like, you know what? At this time, Michigan wasn't sanctioned, so it was just like a show every week, and you can pretty much go to the show and say, hey, I want to fight, and they'll throw you in.
I got you.
But this guy, he came from a team, and they was like, he'll fight anybody, and I'm like, dude, I'm here to fight, I'm at the venue, so let's do it. And, I knocked him out in like a minute, I think. So
heck yeah, man.
So everybody was like, who the hell was this dude? I didn't do nothing. I learned. I just went throwing punches. I threw probably 100 punches in a minute.
Wow, man.
If he'd have made it past 3 minutes, he probably would have beat me because I'd have been done.
Need to take him out of there quick.
After
that first fight, was it pretty rapid after that? Were you just like fighting regularly, or did it take time between fights?
Yeah, it kind of did happen like that. It was like, because everybody, it was my first amateur fight, almost everybody there was there for somebody else, you know, that's been fighting for a while. So after the first one, of course, everybody's like, who the hell is this guy? You know? So I took a fight, and I didn't know if it was happening or not. It was actually over at the Taylor Sportsplex over there, and it was kind of last minute, and I found out about it like on a Thursday, and I was supposed to fight Saturday. He was like, "You gonna take that fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." You know, so I wasn't really training like for a fight, and this guy was a jiu-jitsu guy, so and I had no ground because I just started. You know, this was like 3 months in to training. So I'm like, I'm kind of worried when I found out he was a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm like, I'm asking all the coaches, I'm like, how you think I'm gonna do? They're like, you'll be fine. It's like once you punch him in his face, it'll change. So I'm like, whatever, it's all right. Went up there. I ended up getting the flu. I didn't know I was sick. And I ended up fighting, and I made it through. Just put it that way. It was a tough fight. Yeah, I'd say about 20 more seconds, I probably would have lost that fight.
Wow,
man.
Man, I was so dehydrated and sick in the back. I didn't even make it to the back before I started throwing up, and it was crazy. And then, but it taught me to, you know, get ready, you know, for a fight, because it went all 3 rounds, you know, and I wasn't prepared for that. So I told myself, yeah, if I'm taking any fights, I got to be ready.
I got you.
But I still won, so that's the thing. I still won.
That's all that matters.
But that was my striking that got me there. But then my jiu-jitsu, I mean, the ground helped me out a lot. He would pull guard. I'll get on top, hit him a couple times, and get up, let him back up. Like, you know, I'm not going to play that game with you, especially when I wasn't
ready for it.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. I mean, it would probably caught me in something, especially being winded and tired, not knowing what you're doing. Yeah.
That's a whole other world, man. Like just getting like once, like, I mean, you're saying because you were used to striking, and then you get into like the ground game and like, you know, rolling with people and stuff like that. That's a whole other aspect. I can't even imagine.
It takes probably just one wrong move while you're wrestling, and next thing you know, you in an arm bar.
Right, that's all it takes. Man, it's like I don't know if you guys play chess at all, but
I do.
Same concept, man. It's just bait. Like I tell people I got lazy man jiu-jitsu, you know, old man jiu-jitsu. Like a lot of times people see me on the ground, like, what is he doing? It looks like he's in trouble. But no, I'm just baiting them. I'm just letting them think they got an upper hand, and I'm just waiting for them to make that one move to finish them. Like I just bait people all the time. They'd be like, man, he's not doing nothing. I'm just laying there and gotcha.
I got you. So was your strategy usually to go for a finish, or were you ever like, I'm going to try to let this like ride out and go to a decision?
Nah, always finish. You know, I was like, at the age I was at doing it, I was trying to get to the top as fast as possible. You know, people, you know, I turned pro at 34. So it was like, you know, a lot of times people get that he's past his time type of thing. And so I was just taking on fights, and I'm like, the quicker, the better, you know, don't have to worry about injury and things like that. If I can get them out there as fast as possible and then live up to the name, you know, the quick, you know.
Well, from your resume, bro, it's crazy. You're saying that you started off as more of a strike. It looks like you had a lot of submissions on your resume for your victories.
Yeah, because nobody would stand with me, so I had to learn the ground.
There you go. All right.
So that was the game plan. Like as an amateur, I went like 9-1, and my only loss was I think my 3rd or 4th amateur fight, and my opponent switched like 3 or 4 times. Like I said, at that time, this is when the Michigan wasn't sanctioned, so you know you had 50,000 fighters. You know, everybody wanted to be a fighter. But at that time, I was getting a name, and I was 3-0. You know, and people wouldn't fight me. You know, they're like, "Who? Hell no, I'm not fighting this guy," because I was known as a striker. So I ended up getting a fight. Actually, got the wrong name the day before because my opponent. It was like my 3rd opponent. So I'm thinking I'm fighting another striker. With this guy was actually a wrestler. They gave me the wrong name, which I'm like, whatever. I'm here to fight. He ended up taking me down, just holding me 3 rounds, and he won a decision. And yeah, that's when I learned the ground. I was like, that's not happening again, because now I'm like, it was like a blessing though, because I'm like, now I'll get fights, because everybody's like, oh, we know how to beat him now, take him down. Yeah. So that's what happened. As soon as I throw a punch, they shoot, and I was like, cool. I learned the ground, and I'll choke you out that way if you don't want to stand with me. So that's the reasoning behind that. Or if I daze you, I'll finish you with a choke or anything like that. So
yeah.
So what was the hardest part for as far as the whole mixed martial arts, what was the hardest for you to pick up, or what took the longest for you to pick up?
Nothing. No, no, I'm a sponge, man. I'm like, a natural athlete.
Yeah.
To be honest, so I pick up, a lot of things. But to be honest, one of my least favorites, obviously, is wrestling. It's grueling.
Yeah.
And then me, I try to reserve energy. Because as an older guy, I didn't have my those testosterone levels ain't as high as these young 19-year-olds. I'm fighting. I'm 37. This 22-year-old just getting his mustache. They can do go all day.
Hey, chill out, man. I'm 23. I don't even got a mustache yet. So
don't worry, I didn't get mine till I was like 26, 27.
Man. It's a lot though, man, because we were talking before you jumped on, Mo. It's like, because I was saying, like, I have a boxing history, and it's like I can't even imagine, like, I'm just used to the hands, like to then have to worry about someone throwing a leg kick at me or shooting me. Like that's a whole other realm of, like, there's just so much going on. I can't even fathom, like, training for that, and like it just, you got to be firing on absolutely all cylinders to be, a dynamic MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
To be honest, the training is there for anybody, but I think the biggest part is your mental, man. In MMA, mentally, because I've seen some great fighters, dude, like train with them, but mentally, when it's game time, if they ain't mentally on, they're not on. And then a lot of times, they turn it on at training all the time, and it's like there's no way. Like even with me, my last few years, with my gym closing, just a bunch of things in life, mentally, it just wasn't there, but I still got the love for it, but the training and just everything just wasn't there. And then, it shows, you go out there and it's like, I know what to do, but my body just wouldn't do it. But because I just mentally, mentally wasn't there. So that's a big key.
The mental's huge. And then another part of the mental in combat sports is people with their chins, like some people, like, they get hit and they keep going, or they get more fired up, and they want to. Then there's people that get hit and they get rocked, and it's like they shut down. It's like it's over. You know what I mean? So it's like that's
fight or flight kick in.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Oh yeah, there's a lot of those. I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of those. I've been around the sport a long time, and it's amazing to me, to be honest. Like to me, even online, like most of the MMA community, most of the fighters, man, they are. Man, I can't. How can I say it in nice terms?
You ain't got to be nice.
They pussies to me, man. They're like pussified. Like they so fucking soft to me. Like to be tough or doing a tough sport, they're like actually super soft. Like I've had guys that were, when I was an amateur, they're pro fighters, asking not to spar with me. Like I don't want to spar with him. Like I'm an amateur, dude. You're a pro fighter. This is gonna make you better, Right. And then they got pro fighters. Hey, can you please not throw that front kick? Because it hurts. Like I dropped so many people with that. I never done it in a fight, but when I do come back, I'm gonna let it all go because nobody's ever seen me do that. And I got a lot to prove. The old man thing, for sure. I got to represent.
So the whole old man thing, do you wish you had an opportunity to get into it sooner, like in your 20s and stuff like that? Do you wish that you had that opportunity?
Actually, it's funny you say that, but yeah, I would have liked that to start at a younger age, and because I felt like when I did start, I did battle some injuries and things like that, and the name Quick has always been my nickname, so the Quick just kind of fit because I am still pretty quick for my age, and nobody even knew. So I noticed my timing and things like that was not the same as when I was in my 20s and things like that. So yeah, I would have loved to have started sooner. I think I would have established myself by the time I started. So if I'd have started at 25, by the time I was 32, yeah, I'd have been champ for years in the UFC. For sure. I mean,
that's the thing, bro. It's like combat sports, they're a game of experience. It's like, can you imagine, like you're saying, you became such a big prospect in Michigan just from picking it up at 32. If you would have been 22, can you imagine where you would have been at 32? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, like what experience does.
Yeah, I'd have probably been done with this. Well, I'd have been done. I'd have definitely been
Just hug it
done.
up like, I'll put my time in. I'll take my
Yeah,
pension.
yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good now. So yeah, I definitely think about that, and it's funny because my youngest brother, he used to always say that to me because hanging out before, we'd get into it with people all the time, and I knock people
Uh-huh.
you know,
Uh-huh.
just knock people out. And he's like, man, and then that's when MMA kind of started being known. It was
Yeah.
all on TV shows and the Contender and all these, the
Mm-hmm.
boxing and things like that. And he used to say that to me, like, man, why don't you do that? And when I was telling Ethan earlier, I used to tell him the same thing, like, man, ain't nobody gonna kick me in the face. Like, I ain't taking a kick to the face. So that was my thing. It was like I'll throw punches with anybody. I was like, man, somebody kick me in the face.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to go find where their mom live or something. Like, that's cheating to me.
Oh, you remember that old Kevin Hart clip where he's like, if you get kicked in the face, that's your own. You watched
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
So you speaking of like getting kicked in the face, have you ever got caught with one? You were like, oh, like you was like, oh shit, that was a good one. Like you caught me right there.
Training, sparring, you get caught with some kick, in sparring, you get caught with some stuff, So I have and be like, but then with training, I know it's my fault. I was like, I should have had my hands up, but I never got caught clean. I've got caught with some, but not clean. I'm usually moving. Like he said, if you get kicked in the face, it's your fault. And I see it coming, so it just nicks me.
Yeah, man.
But I've been caught with some kicks and like I'm and I'll think like if he'd have threw that full 100%, I'd have probably been out of there.
Yeah.
Well, going off that and like preparation, like what was your, I mean, I don't know how short notice your fights were and stuff like that. Would you have like a camp where it's like you were sparring for a certain amount of weeks before you knew a fight was coming up?
Yeah. When I turned pro, usually it was, I would know a couple months ahead of time. So I would at least get about 6 to 8 weeks a camp in, and I go hard. And I was always in the gym though. I was in the gym probably 6-7 days a week. But then when I turned pro, I had to start giving my body a rest.
I was literally about to ask you. I was like, well, what about overtraining that ever kick in as a pro? Like, because I know that's a big thing with fighters, man. They don't understand that like there's leading up to a fight that like week or two before, it's like you gotta like chill on the sparring because it's like you can't be hurt.
I actually didn't start doing that till like maybe my 5th pro fight. It was like, man, I was going into these fights. I was finishing everybody, but I'm like, I was going to all these fights. I wasn't even 100%. My body never had a chance to recover. So then I started training myself to just like how the fight would be. I train from Monday to Thursday. I relax on Friday to usually make weight on Fridays, and then I go back and train Saturday. So I train my body that same way. So when I did go fight, my body was just used to that same routine. I'm training here on Friday. I relax on weigh-in day, and then Saturday you go train again. So it performed well, like especially cardio-wise, because that was my thing. Usually about round and a half in, I start feeling it. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
I'm getting tired of that cardio.
So was it difficult making weight?
What's that? Sorry.
Was it difficult making weight?
No, not for me. I've never missed weight. And I'm as professional as you can be with that, because that's half of your money too. That's, a lot of people, your show money, that's making weight, so you get your show money and your win bonus. So, say I fight for $1,000 and $1,000, my whatever, I get $1,000 automatically for making weight for sure, and then go win. So making weight was always easy. I always kind of gradually did it. So usually the day before the fight, I usually only have like 4 pounds to cut right before I go in. So it was always.
So your walking around weight wasn't much bigger than what you fought at?
No, I was walking around probably at like 140, 142, and I was fighting at 125. And they usually give you a pound allowance to 126. So usually I'm around 140, and that's just training, average stuff, nothing, not changing my diet or anything. So it's usually when I switch that, I drop down to 136, 135 easily. Okay. So I'm usually around, 33 a couple weeks before the fight, and wake up on fight day about 29, lose the last couple pounds, go weigh in, hydrate back. It always worked that way for me. Those guys that do that 15, 20 pounds, I can't see how they do it. I had to cut like 9 pounds one time because I screwed up, and man, I felt like I was gonna die.
Man, that's like a whole. It's so unhealthy. It's crazy. Like you hear about like Canelo, he'll like for boxing, it's a different sport, but like he'll go down to whatever weight and then he'll rehydrate like 20 pounds heavier for fight night. It's like, bro, what were you doing to yourself, man? That shit's nuts. Like,
that's like some bodybuilder type shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like bodybuilders are really crazy with it. So Sean, who would you say, amateur or pro, who was the most difficult fight you had?
Most difficult fight I had, I would say, I'll go with my first loss as a pro. Canadian guy, Malcolm X Gordon. He's in the UFC right now, actually. He was actually well-rounded, I would say. I wasn't 100% in that fight, but no excuses. I knew what I was going into. And I almost finished him. I should have finished him, but I tried to save myself, and he had a good game plan, and he held me down. He was pretty strong. He's a strong guy. I couldn't move, man. He held position really good. I give him that. He was slippery, though. I think he had some cocoa butter on. We're going to go with that. Because every time I
had to oil down real quick.
Every time I grab him, dude, I just slide right off.
They put the extra cocoa butter on.
Yeah, they did. But no, I say he was well-rounded. I do believe I was the better fighter, but he had a good game plan, and he was the most difficult. For me being off my back, I couldn't do too much. I didn't have much for him, so.
There are a lot of when you're going in against a different opponent, because obviously that's what's crazy about MMA is everyone's got their own. I don't know what you'd call it, like dominant trait, I guess you'd say. Right. Like for example, like McGregor's a striker, Khabib's more of like a ground. So is that going into a camp? Would it be like, okay, my opponent's more of a striker, so I focus more on how I'm gonna counteract that? Is that kind of how you go into it?
Well, to be honest, like the striking is on my end was what it was. It was just more of my coach would mimic off of what they were known for, my opponent, striking wise, because we all knew nobody was going to outstrike me.
Right.
That's a definite. I can guarantee that. When it came to that part of it, so we knew everybody's game plan was to take me down and try to finish me. Mm-hmm. So my game plan was really, just make sure everything flows. I'm moving well and things like that. My wrestling is on point. Takedown defense, and then submission game off my back, getting up. It was pretty much my game plan was always the same. Stop the takedown, strike with them, keep them striking if I can. Didn't happen too often because, like I said, those dudes shoot so fast. And then, once you, like I said, you throw a punch at somebody and they shoot so fast right under it, but.
I mean, people, when they know when they're in trouble, they go back, they revert to what, they're comfortable with. Yep, exactly. So.
Right. So we always knew the game plan, they'll stand striking. So I just fill them out, see what they're going to do. You just kind of get an idea like, okay, he's waiting to time the takedown. And I try and time it in and keep it away. So basically just foot movement. Because we all know the game plan. They're going to go for a takedown.
So have you ever had a fight where you kind of you had your game plan and then you was like, this not working. I got to completely just scrap this shit and just go for what I know. Like,
not really. Because all my fights, we knew the game plan. I think the biggest thing was me being too comfortable on my back. Instead of just getting up, knowing I'm a better striker. A lot of times I get confident, like, okay, yeah, you think you can hold me down here? I'm going to submit you. It's like I'm going to prove that I'm better than you on there, and it don't work all the time.
Right.
You just don't have enough time, so that was my biggest thing, I would say, was just being too comfortable on my back when I started submitting everybody, thinking I could submit everybody instead of just sticking to the game plan. Like if you do go for the submission, it's not there, get up, go back to striking. So that's my biggest downfall right there.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's one of those things, and it's funny because you're talking about how quick those dudes shoot. Like you just, I can't even imagine like you came from striking, and like again, like because I'm thinking this from a boxing perspective, just like, and the elite fighters will do this, especially ones that are good on the ground, like someone like a Khabib is like they'll keep you standing as long as they can, right, and like throw with you just to the point where you're feeling like okay, we're standing, like we're striking, and then they shoot, and it's like.
Right.
Fuck,
right.
man, like that's
yeah. Because somebody like Khabib, he's so well-rounded on the ground. He's not worried about you shooting on him. You shoot on him, you're in his world.
I don't know if I've ever seen someone shoot on Khabib. Like it's
I know,
like, what are you doing? Like
that's why he's so comfortable with his stand-up. He goes forward, like go ahead and shoot on me if you want to. Now you're gonna play my game.
Right? Now that he's retired, do you think? Does he rank up there as like an all-time great UFC or just MMA in general?
For me, yes. I mean, just how dominant he is. I've never seen nobody play. It's like he plays with people on the ground.
Exactly.
Like he does, and as unexciting as it is to some people, that dominance, the way he does it, like people don't understand like how hard that is. Like that is to keep somebody down and just do whatever you want with them as long as you want. And the reason I liked him a lot, he didn't just hold you there; he would beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, he just throwing shit.
And then he would fight. People didn't give him the credit. His striking might not have been great, but he would fight. He comes straight forward and keep going.
Exactly, bro. People that want to say, I mean, like, yeah, he wasn't an elite striker, but like I saw he hit Conor flush with a fucking right hand. It was like, bro, like
clean.
He could hit, like he could crack. It wasn't like he like was an elite strike. That wasn't obviously his strong suit, but it like no one's disrespecting his stand-up game.
Right, right.
You know what? And I was telling, we had talked about this earlier, Ethan, on another episode where like he kind of disrespectful, bro. Like he gets you on the ground and he just hammering dudes in the face and he talking to them like I deserve this, give me this, like punching dudes in the face and talking to them at the same time. That's some disrespectful shit.
Hey, that's just breaking a wheel even sooner.
You're right.
So you hold on. So you telling me that you was doing that too?
No, I'm not a talker.
If you was, just say that.
No, I'm not a talker. Really, if somebody did talk, I can talk. I can go. I mean, I'll talk with them because, to be honest, I wish I did have people talk to me like that because that probably would have motivated me more. Because in my head, I go back to the street like, okay, shit done changed now. Maybe I should have, and things like that.
Yeah.
But I ended them so quick, I couldn't say much to them. But what's up,
Well, you're right though, because Khabib was a savage, and it was crazy. Man. Like even because my favorite fight is him. And maybe it's because like I feel like Conor's overrated, but like just watching what he did to Conor McGregor and like all the Conor fans just slowly like see round after round. It was like, bro, he's just on another level, man. Like it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, dude, to be honest, dude, I'm like undefeated on the main events, and I don't even bet. Like, I got people that call me all the time, like, man, who's winning this fight? Who you think? And told them, I was like, man, Conor cannot beat Khabib. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, his striking is okay, but Khabib, I'm like, once he's gonna dismantle that dude and beat him whenever he wants.
Yeah, me and Mo have talked about this before, so I'll run it by you. Do you think, like, because in my opinion, like, I think Conor's a great fighter, right? Like, I'm not disrespecting him at all, but I think, like, his aura and, like, his Muhammad Ali, like, trash talk and his personality kind of, like, it, like, elevated him to a point where his fans act like he's one of the, like, an all-time great. And, like, in my opinion, like, he's a great fighter, but, like, he's not an absolute, like, he's not a top, 5, 10 all-time great.
No, I agree with you. He's definitely not. But one thing I can say, he did elevate the sport for that level for guys that are getting paid and things like that. So I don't knock him on that. But I'm not a Conor fan either. The persona thing, I get it. That's what sold fights, and that's why he gets treated the way he does. So on that end, I say he was great for the sport on that. But yeah, he's not a great, not even close. He's a good fighter. He's a good overall fighter, just entertainment. That's what seems to be selling now. Look at Jake Paul.
Jesus. All right, so we're not going to talk about Jake Paul. So, all right, so from Khabib going to like Usman, right?
Yes.
He's kind of from that same. Well, like, what's your thoughts on Usman? And like, do you think like does it have to be Kobe that he ends up fighting next? Like, what do you think about that? Like Usman and them two going at it.
To be honest, I actually think I would like to see Kobe fight Burns. To be honest, and I would like to see Usman get he's been wanting Michael Chiesa, and I actually think Chiesa should get that shot. I mean, Chiesa's been doing all right. He's not a top guy, but I think he's in the top 5 now, maybe. But I think he should get his shot because Usman's been running through everybody, and I think if Covington can get past. I mean, if they matched it up, I would like to see Covington and Burns. I would like to see what he does with that before he get a shot at Usman. But as you guys can see in the UFC, they don't care. They just gonna put whatever fight together that's going to
They want that money. Because I mean, one thing I think Covington is kind of in that same kind of like world as McGregor, where he talks so much shit and he built up so much hype that like people want him, right? And then not the fact that like he's a Trump supporter. He don't apologize for it. And people just want to see that clash. Not only that, but just like that, you have that whole race thing with the black and white thing. So I think people just want to see, and they know it's going to be money because they want to see him, get knocked out or whatever. So that's why I think it may happen. I mean, not Dana White about his money at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, Covington is, what did Ferguson say the other day to Chandler? That Dana White privilege. He definitely got it.
That Dana White privilege. You're right. He definitely favors some fighters, man. That's
he definitely does. He definitely does because, the John Jones thing. I mean, the prime example. That dude's worth it. I mean, pay him his money. You're paying fighting your your write-off money, and then
I 1,000% agree with you, bro.
Right.
Do you think Bones and Ngannou gets made, or do you think like Dana's going to be like, nah, I'm not paying John what he wants?
He's not going to pay. He's not going to pay that. One of them was
so sad.
Dana's not going to do that. That's the thing. He's too greedy for that. And he's like, I can still make enough money on making a decent fight, without paying you because they're going to defend. He's got that mentality. Instead of giving the people what they want, he's going to give them what they can see and what he can profit off of. Everybody knows that's a fight to make. That's a great fight. Just pay them their money. Pay them. They're worth it.
It ain't like he ain't gonna get it back.
Oh, right. I mean, that would easily. I think, if that fight got made, that'd have to be the highest selling UFC fight ever. I mean, like you look at it and it's like that's a toss up, man. I mean, I think John Jones is the greatest ever, but like one, he's getting older. And he's going up in weight, and Ngannou's a fucking animal, bro. Like that, that's a toss up to me. Like I'd probably go John just based on history, but like I'm not betting money either way. That's a fucking toss up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's an interesting fight, but the reason I say this, I would say overall John Jones, overall fighter, way better fighter, skill wise, has all the tools. But Ngannou, man. Like we all see it.
What's up, dude?
I mean, you already know it. Man, I think the dude can hit you with his pinky and.
And you can't discredit or like not count the factor of going up in weight, man. Like that doesn't work for everyone, Like Ngannou's a huge individual, like 250 plus. He's not just like hovering at that heavyweight. No, he's like a super heavyweight. Like he's huge.
Yeah, he's a big dude. But
the thing is, found out.
The thing is, I will say this though. Usually light heavyweights usually walk around like 230, 240. Okay. No matter what. And most of the times, just from guys at our gym that fight light heavyweight, they're usually 240, 250, and heavyweight and light heavyweight guys spar with each other all day.
What's the light heavyweight weight limit?
205. 205.
Okay. There's no cruiserweight in UFC.
No, that's yeah. Okay. It's light heavyweight, then it goes to middleweight, 185.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, nothing in between there. But yeah, so usually those guys, so they do have a lot of experience with sparring heavyweights. I would say that, but it is different. It's a big difference. You got guys that are not cutting weight, and somebody like Ngannou that hits the way he does. I mean, that shit's scary. And the dude's just getting better. I mean, you guys are. I think he's only been doing the sport 4 years maybe.
Yeah, he's not. He's new. I think Jones would have to try to, grapple and kind of take him to the
Oh, yeah.
ground. I don't know if he's just so big. I can't picture taking Ngannou down, man. He's a fucking mountain of a man.
Well, that's the thing. Stipe did it that first fight.
Yeah.
That would have to be the game. That would have to be the game plan for John Jones. And Jones is long. He does have good wrestling. He does have a good ground. And that's where I see he would have to win it. Yeah, he would have to stay in close, or he does have those long arms. And that would help.
He has some really long arms.
Yeah, I think that would help him keep Ngannou away so he can engage his timing. And then, he would have to. I think he would grind that one out, or until he could finish him on the ground. Because standing with that guy is too. Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's smart on anybody's part.
Is John Jones the greatest MMA fighter of all time?
Oh man. To me, you can't take that away from him. I mean,
the argument's definitely there that he.
Yeah, the argument's there. I mean, there is some questionable fights too that
for sure. His one against who was it? 2019. He had that split decision with Reyes? I'm trying to remember.
Reyes.
Yeah, I thought Reyes won, but I think
I did too.
I don't know. I think with combat sports, because I've always said this with boxing, it's kind of what I was taught from my coaches and my stepdad was like, you got to beat the champ. Like, it's like, which means like you convincingly have to like beat the champ. Right. So like, I mean, I wasn't mad with the split decision, but like he looked mortal in that fight, which is what was crazy. Yeah. It was like, I've never seen John, and that's what worries me about Ngannou was like, is it his age? Is it catching up to him?
It's just some guys, man. It's like, I'm not even gonna lie, even at the gym, there's guys that would never fight. They're probably not even when they did, well, there's some guys that when they did fight, say they're 2-8 amateurs. Just sometimes some guys just give you problems no matter how good you are.
Styles make fights, man.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I think that gives John a problem. But one thing I've noticed that always gave John a problem is somebody that matched his height.
Well, Ngannou's a big fucking problem, bro.
That's
he's a mountain. So I got to get your thoughts on the style bender and like what are your thoughts with him?
I mean, he's a great striker. I mean, his timing, he's a great striker. I mean, he has to develop, as well, which we always was curious what'll happen, if he actually was taken down and see what he can do. And as we all can see, that's where he needs the most work. But he does have good takedown defense. Usually guys that are kickboxers, they usually have great hips and legs like that to stop those things like that. But I think he can be great. He still needs some time though. He definitely has to get his ground game.
Do you think the weight difference made an impact on that though? Like because he went up.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because he's not a big guy. What he weighed in at like 200 pounds. Like, yeah, definitely. That does play a big factor. That's why I kept moving down in weight. I started off, I fought at like 55, and I wasn't cutting weight. I weighed in like 52, and then you go in, and these guys are cutting weight, and I'm still weighing 152 at the fight, and I'm looking over like, that dude looks kind of big.
Big motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm like, that dude's kind of big because he cut weight. So I was like, okay, I'll move down to 45. I'm like, okay, 52. I cut weight to 45. That's nothing. So I cut to 45, and then I cut 3 pounds. And then I go fight, and I'm looking like that dude looks kind of big. Because everybody's cutting, and I'm just working out, really. I'm not even cutting weight. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to 35. So I went down to 35, and same thing, because once I started, like, I'm going down, I'll start walking around like 42, 40. So I cut to 35, and then I get there, and I'm like, this dude still looks kind of big, because I'm cutting to 35, and I weigh back in at 40, and these dudes are cutting from 60, so 60, 65, weighing in at 35 and then coming back weighing at 150, 155, hydrating back. So it's like, I'm looking like, okay, I gained 5 pounds back. I'm like, this dude done hydrated 20 pounds back. I'm like, man, this is kind of big. Okay, I'm gonna go to 25, see what happens.
Yeah, man.
And then, because at 25, after I weigh in, I usually put on about 9 pounds back. So I usually win in the fights about 34, 35. And then usually those guys cutting weight, they'll hydrate back to like 140 or so. So even then, I was like, okay, these guys aren't bigger than me, or at least for the most part, they were shorter. So I at least felt bigger.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. It's the same thing like in boxing, man. Because like I was talking about with Canelo, it's like back when he was fighting in like the 160 range, and then he'd hydrate up to like fucking light heavyweight weight, and it was like, man, like you're not even the same dude that you weighed in at. Like that it's crazy, man. It's nuts. Like that's a whole like game in itself, just cutting to weight and then like rehydrating back to like whatever you're walking around at or whatever you're fighting at.
Yeah, that making weight stuff is
kind of criminal, man. Like it's like
it is. You're right. You're right. It's not safe. Definitely. I done seen some scary stuff, and that's what kind of told me to, don't do that. I've seen guys, it's like weigh-in day. They're trying to cut 20 pounds. I'm like, dude, why would you do that to yourself? You know what I mean? To me, in my head, I'm like, but it's common. It's actually common though. And those guys are cut 15, 20 pounds a day, weigh-in day. And that's why you see a lot of times those weigh-ins, you see these guys fainting and it makes no sense. It's like, don't do that to yourself. That shit ain't worth it.
Yeah, man. You're right. That's why it's funny. These like big heavyweight dudes, they just can eat whatever the fuck they want and just fucking like I love when
what up,
I love when Tyson Fury gets up there like a blob, and Tyson Fury's got no muscle definition and he's just this big dude. It's like, all right, man. Like,
let's go.
So let's talk about Fury and him and Wilder going into the trilogy.
Man, are you big into boxing at all, Tashawn? Do you know?
Oh yeah. I'm boxing was one of my first loves, man. Before like boxing and basketball, and then I took off basketball. But yeah, I love boxing.
So what are your thoughts kind of going in? And what is it? It's scheduled for August?
July 24th.
Oh, so it is. I didn't know it was happening. I thought it was just some bullshit going on.
It was made today. So the arbitration last week decided that Fury has to fight him. So it's I don't know if you're aware. Like 2 weeks ago, the talk was Fury Joshua. Like the fight was going to be made. Yep. And now that's off because they went to court, and I guess the contract held up. Like he has to fight Wilder. So that's July 24th. The contract was just made again today. So
I would have liked to seen Joshua in Fury. Wilder, like we talked about earlier, some people just got your number. Mm-hmm. And I love Wilder, what he stands for and things like that.
Me too. And he's an American, so it's like I'm rooting for the American heavyweight. Like,
I lost a lot of respect for him for all the excuses he made.
Bro, fuck that. I'm so with you there, Tashawn. Like 100%, bro.
Like,
fuck off, bro.
Yeah, like, you lost, dude. Like
be a man, man. Like I hate that shit. Fuck off with your costume and he's got egg weights in his glove.
Yeah.
Get out of here, bro.
He came in looking like a character from like Dragon Ball Z, bro.
Well, it was apparently for like when it happened because it was in February. It was for Black History Month. I was like, I don't know what you're commemorating, bro. You look fucking crazy right now.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Hey, he tried it, but I had always said like their first fight. Like I told my girl,
classic.
Yeah, I'm like Wilder is a puncher. Has no boxing skills to me. I think he's a horrible boxer. Straight 1-2. He's long. Has a power punch. And I told her, we're Wilder fans, but I told him, I was like, boxing wise, there's no way Wilder can beat Fury. I'm like, this dude is smooth. I mean, that big gumpy dude is smooth for a big guy. And I was telling my girl, like, she didn't know who Tyson Fury was. And I was telling her, and I was like, she's like, why are you going for him? I'm like, I'm just saying he's a better boxer.
You better learn. The Gypsy King is no joke, man. Yeah. That dude is.
And then when she seen him and was like, oh, okay. And then after that second fight, man, I don't like it, but
I think we've talked about it in previous episodes. It like when he got rocked in that first fight, and then he like hit that flight or flight, and he had to just come forward and hit. Well, I think he like realized right there, like, okay, the strategy is like you got to close the distance on Wilder. Don't let him get that distance and snap that punch off. Like just go at him. He can't fight off his back foot, like you said. He has no footwork. He doesn't know how to move. He can't throw combinations like it's. So Wilder's got to get back in the lab and really figure out what he's going to do because Fury's got his number. You're right.
Right. I 100% agree with all you said. All of it. Every snap of that.
So codependent upon catching you with that right hand. Because literally he just tapping you with the left, trying to get the reach right. And then he coming, and it's wild.
But it's so strong, though.
It's the
killer. It's the killer.
Yeah, he definitely got a punch.
To me, it's the strongest one punch in boxing history. I don't care what anyone says. Like, you can bring up Foreman, Tyson. Like, I have never seen someone with just that one punch ability that just, like, if you fuck up for 1 second, good night. You're waking up on the canvas, bro. Like, I've never seen
had he not leveled that, had he not, kind of leveled Fury in that first fight, he would have lost.
Oh, exactly. I totally agree with you, Mo. Like,
I still think he lost. I think they saved him with that draw.
I agree, but again, I wasn't mad at it because it was like it was like you got to beat the champ, and he clearly had like he threw the hardest punch in the like he inflicted the most damage. Fury didn't do nothing, but like that you're right, Mo. Like that saved him. Like if he didn't knock him down in that last round, that was a Fury majority decision for sure.
Easy. And we talked about this. I feel like for Wilder, I wouldn't come right back in and just jump right into that fight with Wilder. Like I'd get me a fight under me. Before going into that, right? Like maybe you go and you fight Garcia or no, not Garcia. What is his name? Ruiz.
Ruiz.
You know, like get something in you that somebody that can that's still kind of top level or whatever before you take that on because he's gonna get outboxed. Like I don't think there's nothing around that. Like Fury is a top notch boxer. For as big as he is, the dude can move. He's got quick hands and he's got heavy hands.
Mm-hmm. Right, I agree, man. It's I think pound for pound, Fury's the best heavyweight. I mean, it's you know he gained a lot of respect from me. I mean, let's be honest. Going into that fight, we all kind of look at it differently now, but going into that fight, Wilder was like the most feared fighter in boxing. Like you can't mess up.
I got a delivery.
You're all good, man. But like, it's I mean, and then he just walked him down and laid an ass whooping on him.
It was unexpected. I thought Tyson Fury was a better boxer, of course. I had no doubts in my mind that Fury would win, but not that way. I didn't think it was going to be that dominant. I didn't see that coming. I was like, me and my girl, she's yelling like, "Stop the fucking fight!" like this dude he's gonna die. Like, man,
you're right. He was out on his feet, and like he's got that heart, and like I give him credit for that. But like I can't believe like he got that mad at his trainers for throwing in the towel. Like, bro, like you were out, like you were getting your ass kicked, man. Like
that. Me being a fighter, that's how you lose. To me, that's how you lose fans and respect. Your fans is gonna stick with you no matter what, win or lose. Man, we seen the fight, just bounce back. But when you start all those excuses and things like that, it's you lose me. At least
I totally agree with you. I lost respect for Wilder there. Like, and I was a huge Wilder fan before he was big at all. It's like that's crazy. You can't do that. And I get like your pride's hurt. And let's be honest, like he's probably never experienced that before. Wilder was 40-0 with 39 knockouts. He's never been tuned up in a boxing ring like that.
Well, he didn't even like didn't his corner throw in the towel?
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. And he fired his fucking coach. He blamed his coach. He was like, you shouldn't have thrown it. It's like, bro, you were out. Like you were
right. You should.
They had to.
Yeah, we were yelling. Like I said, we were yelling at the TV, like, stop the damn fight. To the ref, like you could see he was out. I mean, he was not there. That tempo or whatever was going on, he was not there.
Yeah, it looked like his equilibrium was just gone. Gone. I don't know.
But I found what I was looking for. It's not the Wilder and Fury fight. It's Pacquiao and Errol Spence that's fighting in August.
Oh,
they signed? Like that's gonna happen?
I don't know if it's signed.
Wow.
But it looked like that may be on it was on Manny Pacquiao's Instagram or his Twitter.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, I don't know, man. That's intriguing because obviously Manny's a legend, but man, Manny's old, bro. Like, and Errol Spence is a dog, so like I don't.
I mean, he old and he just beat Thurman though too.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, fights like that, man. Pacquiao bring the dog out there with the We do,
Which is
but
exciting because I've never seen Spence tested like that, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like Spence is always just outskilled everyone. So I'm hoping, even though he's old, Pacquiao can get inside, like hit him a couple times and like I want to see Spence in suspense, like in trouble. Like I want to see you like up against the ropes, like, okay, what are you gonna do after you've been hit? Like, because I've never seen it. So
yeah, I think Spence will handle it. I think this would be more because Manny's a little older on that, but Manny's going to give him a fight. I think Spence can pull it out, but Manny's going to give him, like you said, you see some of that, how he responds to adversity in there, because Manny's going to bring it for sure.
For sure, man. For sure.
There's a boxer, you guys probably might be more familiar with it. I seen him the other day. I think he's in the same weight class as Spence, and he's coming up, man. He's like a lefty. The dude is smooth as shit. Dude, I do not know his name, though.
Ethan probably know it better than I would.
Yeah, I think he's the same weight class. He's probably around 20-0. He just had a bout maybe a month or two ago.
I mean, if I heard the name, I'd probably know. Is he? He's not a belt holder though. He's like a prospect right now, or
he's a prospect. I don't think he has a belt. But man, I'm not gonna lie. If I can think of his name for my phone,
it's so intriguing, man. I love that though. I love that. That's my favorite part about and MMA, just combat sports in general. When you got a new guy coming up that's like working his way up, and it's like, okay, is this guy gonna challenge? Is this guy gonna,
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, Sean. It's like, so coming up as MMA and prospects coming out of Michigan, who do you think can be like that next, that kind of make it on that pro level and get to that spot, like where you win Bellator or you win like the UFC?
Actually, one of my training partners he's fighting June 12th. He's in the UFC right now. Jamal Hill. He's from Michigan here. He's ranked 15th light heavyweight.
Awesome.
He's fighting Craig Paul or Paul Craig or whatever his name. He's like ranked 14th, but they're fighting on the main card June 12th. He's like 8-0, 9-0.
Good for him, man.
Light heavyweight. He's definitely, man. The boy got skills, man. I've known him since my whole career. Like he was like 11-0 when I first started amateur.
Oh wow!
And then he took some time off. But he was training he was still training and things like that. And when he came back, the names had changed after a few years, and nobody knew who he was. And then there was this guy that was known, everybody, this Dylan, whatever his name was at the time. He was this monster or whatever. And Jamal came back, and nobody knew him, but I did. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know the promoter. I'm like, Jamal's gonna kill that dude, man. I'm like, he's like, Jamal's that good. I'm like, dude, he is. I'm like, trust me on that. I'm like, he's like to me, I'm like, he's the only dude I've ever been impressed with. Like, I've seen a lot of pro fighters. And I mean, he's not orthodox and things like that. He does some questionable things, like his chin will be down, but the dude's good, man. He's solid everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, June 12th, he'll be fighting on the main card as well. So check him out, man. And then you'll see my coach in his corner, Johnny, the short Mexican guy. You'll see him. But yeah, Jamal Hill definitely. And I was telling Ethan earlier, we got big dog Brett Martin. I think he's fighting on, I think it's Fox Sports next week for XFC. He's like the number one rated heavyweight in the U.S. That the UFC hasn't signed yet. I don't know why. He was supposed to fight a guy that actually just filled in for tomorrow to fight Ben Rothwell. That was supposed to be his opponent for next week, but he got the call up. And I was telling Ethan earlier, it was like, man, they keep holding my boy Brett, It's like, he should have got the call, but his time is coming. So yeah, definitely Brett Martin and then Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. They're both out of Black Lion gym here in Grand Rapids. Both of those guys are definitely up and comers that you can keep an eye on. So you'll be able to talk about and be like, yeah, don't tell them I told you. Just be like, oh yeah,
that's the best feeling, man.
No,
knowing people and like you have that. You're like, okay, they're gonna be some at some point like this. That's and it's really cool seeing people like rise through the ranks like that. Like in boxing, I'm not gonna say like no one knew, because everyone knew who Lomachenko was, but because he was like 200 whatever and as an amateur, but like as soon as he turned pro, I was like, bro, I don't think anyone realizes that this dude's about to just like go crazy. And he was like a world champ in 2 divisions by like 10 fights in, Man, it's crazy, man.
I found him.
Found it?
Boots. Jaron Ennis. Boots. They call him
Really?
Boots.
No, I haven't heard of him. He's in the same weight division as who you said? He's like welterweight with Spence and Pacquiao and them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like they got him rated 8th. It's 27-0, man. Boots Ennis.
Okay.
Dude, check him out, man.
I'm about to look him up.
Like, from what I've seen of him, I think he'll give all of them a run for their money. Like, like I watch like boxing from my day. I feel like boxing is not the same in some sense. You know, I was a big Sweet Pea fan growing up. You know, Pernell Whitaker.
Yeah.
My favorite boxer of all time. You know,
rest in peace, man. Definitely one of the greatest defensive fighters that we've ever seen, bro.
Right. So in my day, that's who I tried to mimic my boxing off of, and I love that dude. Man, like his style. But this Boots guy, man, I just seen him. Had to be like a month or two ago, and I never heard of him, and I'm like, man, this dude's like 26-0 or something, and I'm watching him. I'm like,
nice.
To me, it's not too many people that just catch my attention and things like that, and I'm like, man. Especially with boxing, because I'm not into boxing like I used to. You know, there's big fights I'll watch, stuff like that. And I don't know what card it was. I must have been waiting on something to been watching it to catch him. But it was, I would definitely check him out, man. And tell me what you think, man.
For sure,
I got
man.
one more. Ethan, did you know that Tank got a fight coming up on June 26th?
Last I heard of Tank, I thought he was going to jail, bro. I had
that
no
part,
idea.
It looked like he got a fight against Mario Barrios on the 26th.
Yeah,
that's light work.
That's all it is. It's light work.
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with the other fighter as well, but I think Tank is the truth, bro. Like that dude, if he can get like his mind right on boxing and not the crazy other shit, like that dude is he's lethal, bro. Dude's lethal.
Tank is nice. Him, Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Like I need to see him in a fight again too.
Definitely.
And what is his name? Lopez. I'm drawing a blank on his first name.
Loma. Yeah. Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, Teofimo Lopez. Yeah. He's nice.
He is
nice.
And that's what's crazy. And like, you know, it's the contrast with UFC, right? They have these scheduled bouts every couple months that they do them. And it's like fighters are active. Whereas like once boxers get to that certain point where it's like, it's all up to their promoters, right? You might be fighting once or twice a year. And I think that's what's like, it's like you're robbing the fans, man. Back in the day, it wasn't like that, you know? Julio Cesar Chavez was a world champion. He's fighting like fucking 5-6 times a year. It's
like what was his record? He fought like 100 and something, like 100 something match. Like
man. He was 89-0 before he lost his first fight. Like it's just like it was a different breed back then. Like, you know, Tashawn, you were definitely right in that sense. Like it's changed, and I think you can say that with every sport, right? Football, they're not allowed to do as much. Basketball is not as physical. Like every sport evolves, but. Man, you got to miss those old dog-ass fighters that would just give a fuck.
Real prize fighting, I guess you call it. Right now, everything's a business, you know. Everything's a business, which I don't blame them, you know, get paid and things like that. But I think, as a business, they all fight that way as well, you know, try for longevity. But those dog fights, you definitely love those.
That's the thing is like, and I think the casual fan, if they watch someone like Floyd, maybe like, because I think when you remember when Pacquiao and Floyd happened, I think, you know, that was the first fight in a very long time that drew more than like the boxing fan. It was like the casual fans were watching that. And I think a lot of them thought that was boring because, you know, they don't understand, but it's like, Floyd did that better than anyone, understanding that it's a sport of like not getting hurt, preserving yourself and like making as much fucking money as you can make. Like, you know, he's a genius in that way.
Well, that's why they're fans. You know, they don't understand. You know, things like that. I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, man, this dude is a smart fighter. Man, just because you guys don't think he's that entertaining anymore. I mean, like, he just made $100 million, you know, and didn't get touched for a sparring match.
Yep.
You know, come on, man. I would do it too if it was that easy.
Of course,
you know,
right?
I mean, at his age, he was doing it at, you know. Why take any damage? You know, we all know he got brittle hands. I'm like, you guys cannot say Floyd can't fight. I'm like, watch his younger fights. Dude's a fucking beast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's what pisses me off is people see Floyd's second half and they're like, oh, it's like, bro, Floyd knocked out most of the people he fought in the first half of his career. And he adjusted. I think that should be commemorated the way Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, it's like your athleticism goes, in his case, his hands. And it's like, okay, now I have to evolve and I'm going to be a defensive fighter. And Floyd turned into one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive fighter. Yeah,
Mastered.
Exactly.
And then being a fellow boxer, you already know people don't understand. They call it boring or whatever. Floyd makes people look easy.
Yep.
You know, people don't understand this dude. Like I always tell people that even with me, I'm like, you guys don't understand because nobody sees the backstory of people getting ready. But it's like this dude is training to fucking kill me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I make it look this easy. Look how easy I made it look. This dude's been training for months and months and months to kill me, and I made him look like a fucking.
I mean, you look what he did to Canelo.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And Canelo was not. Canelo was nice even when he was younger. He was nice.
Yeah.
People
barely
forget,
touched him.
Right, people forget Canelo was what, like damn near 50-0, or 50 when they fought.
And that's and Floyd was like late. He was like 30. He was his late 30s, maybe 35, something like that. Yeah. It's like, okay, like he technically was past his athletic prime. So if you're going to talk about Canelo being young, I think that balance. Granted, obviously Floyd had more experience, but still, it's like he wasn't in his prime at that point. So I don't like that excuse. A fight's a fight.
Yeah.
You know,
when people do that, I guess you get that all the time. You know, in any sports era, you're going to get that. But you know, with me as a boxing fan and seeing boxing, you know, there's no way Canelo could beat Floyd. I mean,
I agree.
I mean, Canelo's a good boxer. Like, look at his last fight. If that wouldn't have happened, I didn't have Canelo winning. Yeah. I did. You know, but that's me. You know, people
I don't know. That's kind of tough, Sean, because he's evolved really well, and the way that he is able to, his head movement is probably top notch. You know,
but I'll say this, Mo. His last fight, this guy was tagging him. Imagine if that's Floyd. That's all. But I get what you're saying. No, Canelo's a great fighter. He has evolved, but I don't think he could evolved enough to ever be on that level of that Floyd that he could compete with Floyd.
So we had maybe a month ago now, we had a boxing ref on here who he's about to go in the Boxing Hall of Fame actually, which is fucking crazy. It's cool that we had him on here, but he's rep Floyd as a amateur, a professional, and then as like when he first became pro, like in Grand Rapids, and then as a championship bout. And he told us, he was like, he is the most technically sound boxer I've ever been in the ring with. You know, just his ability to just like
shout out to Frank.
Yeah, right. But just his ability to move his head, you know, just in inches, and like because he's been doing it his whole life. He's got a father and two uncles that were professional fighters, and it's like he was born in this, and it's like that's, you know, he just Floyd is like you were saying, kind of talking about chess here. Like he's playing chess while the rest of the boxers are playing checkers. Like it's like he's just on another level. It's crazy.
It is. That's all it is. It's just a basic manipulation game. That's all he's doing. He's, you know, making you do what he wants you to do. You know?
He's a genius, man. It's like it's you know, there's a genius, and that's the thing. Like, you know, pop culture. You know, everyone made fun of him. You know, he can't read all this stuff. It's like, okay, but he's a genius. Like in this. Like he's Einstein of boxing, bro. I've never seen someone so comfortable and so able to just like, you know, it's unfazed. He's making, look at Conor. Conor made $100 million to fight Floyd, and then clearly the money got there, and you know his motivation went up. That never happened to Floyd. Floyd's made 6 times the amount of money Conor made, and he still was just, it never fell off. It was just, you know, like, hats off to him, man. I'm a huge Floyd fan.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not. I don't know why they make fun of him too. What my dad used to say all the time. He said, "I can't read or write, but I can count."
Hello, come on now. I can count this money.
Right.
I can count this money.
Right. I can't read or write, but I can count.
I can count this money. So, Sean, there's one Michigan MMA fighter that I always wanted to ask you about and get your opinion on.
Okay.
And it was Tashawn Townsend.
Okay. Daquan
Townsend. Yeah. So because I always thought I thought he was pretty nice.
Okay.
I don't know if he really put enough training into, but I always thought like just like from his size, his length, and everything. Like I just always felt like he was just nice.
Yeah, Quan, I used to train with Mercy Alago a little bit back in the day, and then we used to cross train with each other. And yeah, he got the skills and everything. I can't honestly say. I think he always wanted to get to the UFC, and he did. But I don't think his love for the sport was the same as it was. Okay. I'm just speaking on what I think. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But dude could fight. I think he probably needed another different. They needed to add some tools to their gym. To help him out to get there. Because, and to be honest, I think like when we were talking about that mental part, I know for a fact that has to be one of his biggest things. Because this dude's family, like it's like every year he loses a family member. He lost his kid, then he lost his cousins, then he lost his other cousin. He just lost both of his brothers, like just dying. So he's fighting a lot, man. That dude, I think that probably the biggest toll on him, man. He's lost probably, dude, I'm not even exaggerating, like 10 people in the last like 3 years.
Damn,
wow.
So mentally, he's just he's fighting through a lot, man. He's fighting more than just people, man. But I think he's still grinding, man. I would like to see him do well. I'm sure he'll come back, but he needs some help that way. I think that I definitely help him out a lot because the dude could fight, man. He got some pop. Once he lets his hands go, he'll push people.
Like even his hands, like he's got like his I feel like his legs could almost remind me of Adesanya, where they just fast and they look like they hurt.
Yeah, he whips them. I think one of his last best fights I've seen before he went to UFC, actually the Jamal Hill I was talking about, they actually fought for a local title, and went 5 rounds, which was actually a good fight, which Jamal beat him. But it was one of those though. Daquan moved up to 205 to fight him, and people was asking me about it because actually Jamal at the time was 3-0, and Daquan was like 20-10 or something like that. So everybody was like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, "No, that's a bad move for Daquan. He shouldn't have moved up." I'm like, if they fought at 85, I would have probably gave a notch to Daquan, but I'm like at 205, Jamal is just on a level there. Because the reason I say 85 is because I know Jamal would have struggled to make that weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daquan, I still think he got a chance, man. I'm rooting for him, man. We'll put it that way. I mean, he's a lot.
Is he in the UFC?
He was, but he lost he lost I think 3 fights is in the UFC. So I don't know if they let him go or not. I think he may have one more fight on his contract. So this is the one. It's like, do or die for him in the UFC. But to be honest, I don't think the UFC is that great pay wise. I mean, exposure, yes, but
definitely exposure. But I agree. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like we were just talking about. Dana White makes the money there, man. It's it's
right.
So we got to wrap this up talking about some NBA. We got the Warriors. We got the Grizzlies tonight. Like, so who do you got?
I'll tell you right now, man, I have not kept up with the NBA, and
you let me down.
I know, man. I was a big basketball fan, man. I'm gonna blame Nikki, man. She's always watching Real Housewives and shit. I can't never. Let me be quiet before y'all see a real UFC fight.
Right, like that right hand come through the screen. Right hook come through.
Yeah, you'll see that kick I was talking about coming across.
You can't gloss over LeBron's shot like that, Mo. You see that, Tashawn? LeBron hit that dagger. Fucking
that was a hell of a shot. And so Ethan and I had this conversation where we were kind of texting back and forth, and he didn't like how Stephen A. and Skip Bayless was over here talking about how they felt like the shot was lucky. And Ethan was like, like that's skill. And I was like, I think there's a sense of skill, but I think there's a look like the dude he got poked in the eye, and he said that I was seeing 3 rims. Yeah. And so for you to like hit a shot where you're seeing 3, I feel like there is a sense of luck in there because your vision is completely off.
Right.
That's fair.
But as basketball, yeah, it's definitely a sense of luck because your vision is what you need. But that's just that muscle memory, man.
True that.
Too. Yeah, that muscle memory. That shot. But yeah, that's definitely it's. If you can't see, yeah, it's definitely luck because when I screwed up my hand, I can't even grab. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I got you.
So yeah, not being able to see, that's crucial.
I guess I just heard that too long.
I mean, I've been kind of.
It's for me. It's like the clutch factor with LeBron. I feel like anytime he does something in the winding down minutes, people have something to say. And like I'm not as big of a LeBron fan as I used to be. Like I was a huge LeBron fan back when he played in Cleveland. And then I don't know. As soon as he went to LA, for some reason, I stopped rocking with him as much. I was like, I don't know. Like I feel like he's chasing Hollywood, and he wasn't really about the winning anymore. He proved me wrong. He won a championship last year, but my big thing is like when he hit that buzzer beater in Toronto. Everyone was like, that was luck. It was a running shot. He hit the back of the backboard, whatever. Like, he banked it in. It was like, I feel like every time LeBron does something that's like in crunch time, people got something to say. And there's this narrative that LeBron's not clutch. And it's like, I'm not saying he's the most clutch dude that's ever played, but I feel like this narrative that like he chokes under pressure is ridiculous. And like, I'm tired of people like Skip Bayless pounding this drum that he's lucky whenever he makes a clutch shot. It pisses me off, bro. I can't stand it.
I mean, I guess that's any player. I mean, when you're clutch, it's either luck or not. I guess you can call it that. But
it goes in or it doesn't, man. It goes in or it doesn't.
I'm with you too. I'm not a big LeBron fan. I've never been a big LeBron fan. Don't take nothing away. The dude's a beast. I mean, he's a monster. I'll never take that away, but I'm not a big fan of his. It's just me. I'm just not.
So we got to dig. So why are you not a big LeBron fan?
I don't know, man. I guess just all the comparisons, man, to me in the game is in my head is not the same to compare when they say the great and he's better than like, in my era, our era, Jordan. I mean, I guess you can't. To me, you can't really compare it because the game's not the same. In my head, he's, I'm not saying like I take nothing away from his game. I just, I guess the loyalty type of deal just sticks with me, because that's how I came up and the players I grew watching up, that's how they did it,
For sure.
So
do you think he's the greatest? Do you think he's the greatest of this generation?
This generation
over Kobe?
Man, it's I'm not a Kobe fan either. That's the thing.
What is going on?
I'm just not, man. I'm not. I wasn't a Kobe.
You gotta, I'm about to get
a blood test. I'm not saying
I gotta do. What is going on?
Come on. I'm not saying he's a bad player. They're great players. I'm just not a fan.
That's fair. I get that, bro.
I'm not a fan,
I fucking hate Kevin Durant. I think he's the best player in the league. So I get you. God, that dude's a bitch.
This is going so left. I feel like we need to end this. He just said he's not a Kobe fan. You over here Kevin Durant.
I don't know what's going on.
This is going so far left, bro. Oh my goodness. This was awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on today, man. Giving us your experience, telling us, just giving us the game, giving us your insight on everything. This was needed. I appreciate it.
For sure.
I appreciate you guys too, man.
All right, Sean.
All right, guys. You guys have a good weekend. I'll talk to you.
You too. Bye.